Hello once again and welcome to the We Need to Talk About Chocolate podcast. We're back in the melt chocolate year once again, and I've been summoned in really by Andrew Nason. Had a bit of a disagreement because I am sure I'm ready now to take the leap in and start on my journey to enjoying dark chocolate. Andrew is certain that I have a few lessons to learn, but he's not quite telling me what those lessons are at the moment, so I'm slightly in the dark.
Yeah,
I think
I'm convinced, Ed, you're not ready for this journey because it's
so
going to
ready.
be difficult, and you're going to have to fight many dragons. Sugar dragons in particular, that don't breathe fire, they breathe sugar over you, and as evidence that you're not ready, in my opinion, I will put Exhibit 1 in, which is a photo, which I don't have at the moment, but I saw you eating a pizza.
Oh
recently.
yeah, we can put that up. We can put that up on screen.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a pizza.
Yeah, I recently went on holiday to the beautiful city of Naples, the home of pizza, Napoli, to our Italian listeners. And yeah, I enjoyed. Well, to be honest, not just one pizza. I enjoyed a pizza every day I was there, pretty much. But why would having a pizza, Andrew, mean that I'm not ready to enjoy dark chocolate?
So, Ed, this is, you're clinging like a clam to your old habits, and we have to have a break. If you're going to go on this journey, we've got to see that you've actually, you're willing to leave your old habits behind.
What's wrong with pizza? This isn't the We Need to Talk About Pizza pod. Pizza's okay, isn't it?
So let's just explore that question, that very question. Is pizza okay? Now, I don't happen to have a pizza, but I do have, I'm holding in my hand some bread, and I need to make sure that
he's not,
Ed,
listener, he's not just holding in his hand some bread. Our viewers will agree. Yeah, you might hold it up, I reckon, as well, just so yeah, our viewers can see.
That's bread.
It looks like it's got sort of 5 or 6 tumours on it, that bread. It's a sort of
it's actually quite an attractive piece of bread. But in any case, we don't have the pizza that we have this photograph, but I will hand that to you in the hope. But before you can eat it, you need to answer some questions.
Yes.
About the bread. So what
lovely.
is bread?
What is bread?
Yes.
Bread is, pretty simply, flour and water.
Okay. Ed, that's good, right?
I think normally salt. I think there's a bit of salt normally in most breads.
You don't need to get technical here. I just want facts, okay? So I want to know, what is flour?
It's ground up, it depends what type of flour, but normally ground up wheat. You can also have corn flour.
Okay, and that's correct. And what is wheat?
Wheat is a crop. It grows in fields.
What type of crop, Ed?
It's a type of grass, I imagine.
It's a grass. You've absolutely nailed it. You're eating grass. And this is the problem. This is why you're essentially a cow. You have got bovine habits.
Hold on.
And you continue to stick, despite all the evidence to the contrary, to these bovine habits. And I've got to try and change these cow-like behaviors, because you're not designed to eat grass, but you can consistently eat grass.
Why am I not designed to eat grass? I mean, this is mad. Bread. Humans have eaten bread since a long time before we've eaten chocolate. I mean, this is a food that built civilization. Bread. I mean, the first sort of cities had people making sort of unleavened bread. Jesus had bread. Moses has bread.
Okay, right. So, let's.
Cows don't eat bread.
Cows eat grass.
But they eat a different type of grass.
So, Ed, I've got something else in my hand here, and we're gonna have the same process.
Can I try the bread, or is it a sort of prop bread?
Are you a cow?
I mean, it looks delicious.
You're tempted, aren't you? The bovine brain is going, I must consume this grass. Can I just ask you, how many stomachs does a cow have? Okay, let's. How many stomachs does a cow have?
I think a cow has 4 stomachs.
I thought it was 8, but maybe it's not 8.
We
don't know. But, okay, Ed, explain to me, like I'm 5, how does grass have lots of protein in it?
No.
So how does a bull become a bull with lots of muscle and strength? how does this happen? And given you're a grass eater as well, and we're going to discover this a little bit further on, how does a bull come into being if there's no protein in the grass?
It's a good question. I actually have no idea.
Can you speculate?
Well, I think the reason they have so
using
many,
your bovine brain.
The reason they have so many stomachs is because it allows them to extract maximum nutrients from what they're eating.
But not protein.
But if there's no protein in grass.
So how do you build muscle? And I know your generation are very obsessed about, these whey powders and protein and building muscle.
Our viewers will see that, I've been clearly, like the rest of my generation, obsessed.
But how the hell does a bull become a bull?
I genuinely don't know. I'm not sure. I need you to tell me.
I will have to explain it to you. But before I explain that, I've got to do another test of...
Can I open this?
Yeah, so I've handed him a white box, and I'm rather hoping that he will eat...
I so thought it was going to be a cake. It's not a cake. It's rice.
Okay.
So it smells nice, actually. It's sort of like jalfrezi rice, maybe?
Yeah, it's rice. So, Ed, what is rice?
Rice is, similarly, it's a crop.
I need more detail.
It grows in paddy fields.
I need more detail. What type of...
Really good, actually. I don't know. It's rice or...
It's a grass! It's another grass!
But cows don't eat rice.
But you're a cow. You're just eating rice the whole time. So grass. I mean, what am I talking about? You just eat grass. Your pizza's grass. Your bread's grass. Your rice is grass.
Yeah, I mean...
And let's, as a final point... Okay, we've got to go further through in this...
There's grass.
What is that?
That is what we know from our preview. That is sugar. Andrew's holding up sugar cane.
I'm holding up a big stick of sugar cane that we discovered in the last podcast that Ed, when in his Coca-Cola...
It's nice, this rice, actually.
...was have an entire... Yeah, I did say you've got a bovine brain. And I'm just trying to establish... So that is also... That's a grass.
Yeah, for sure. But
and when you're eating your Snickers, it's basically grass. Because it's more sugar than it is chocolate.
No, but, I mean, chocolate, right, is it's like a seed, isn't it? Or a nut, right?
No, it's a fruit.
Well, but there are fruits which are brilliant for you, and there are fruits that will kill you. There are trees that produce poisonous fruit.
But my point...
Right, there's lots of...
It looks like... Okay, let's... So you eat bread, which is a grass. You eat rice, which is a grass.
Bread's not a grass.
It's a grass.
It's not. It's made out of flour. But it's not a grass.
Flour
That's not grass.
is a grass. Sugar is a grass.
True.
And we're going to go and explore. So, there's a lot of gathering evidence that you are what you eat. And if it, looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, and flies like a duck, it's a duck. So the evidence so far is you're a grass-eating, bovine...
Hold on, no. If I am what I eat, then I am grass.
You would technically be a bull, not a cow. I give you that.
I'd be grass. If I eat grass, I am what I eat.
You'd be half man, half bull, like a minotaur.
That sounds like bull, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, but basically, can I just establish a little bit further? Do you consume milk?
Yes.
Okay, look, audience, please support me here. He's eating a lot of grass, and he's also consuming milk, which is what baby cows drink. So all the evidence is supporting...
Baby humans have milk as well.
Well, yes,
baby humans have as much
cow milk. Okay, Ed, to finally put the nail in this coffin, let's just establish, when you go and eat meat...
Yes.
Is it likely to be a burger?
It's not unlikely to be a burger.
That's another cow!
Hold on, but cows don't...
No.
The one thing...
So you basically eat grass, cow milk, and you eat other cows.
The one thing cows don't eat is other cows.
Yes, but you're a cannibalized cow in your consumption. And my point is that basically 60 to 70% of what you eat is what a cow would generally eat. And
Andrew,
that is how the food industry looks at you. They look at you as a passive cow that could be fed a lot of sugar and grass. And so let's just step back. Why is your diet so predominantly, and we explored a chimpanzee, and we discovered a chimpanzee had 60 to 80% fruit, nuts, seeds,
sure,
and a bit of sort of, let's call it salad. Whereas your diet is almost diametrically opposed to that. and is almost entirely grass-based. And then when it's not, it's milk-based. And when it's not milk, you're eating the goddamn cow.
Honestly, I feel like we're going to have listeners here shaking their head because I don't just eat bread. I have vegetables, I eat nuts, but I have a balanced diet. But are we saying...
But you're calling a balanced diet 60 to 70% grasses,
I don't...
be it sugar, bread, pasta. You know, the thing is you will rotate between pasta and rice and, you know, shawarma, and it'll all be grass-based. And that's the problem. Now, we're going to bring in one further grass, corn. Now, as our listeners will know, okay, Ed, so I'm holding up some pasta in my hand, and I'm going to hand it to Ed, and I'm going to ask him again, what is this pasta? What's it made from?
This is a very posh brand called Rumo, and this is gluten-free wheat pasta.
Wheat? What's wheat?
Well, it's the same as what's in bread.
It's a grass. You're a cow.
No, but I think the issue here is that cows eat grass, as in like as in what's on a football pitch or in a park. Cows don't eat pizza and pasta, and they also don't cook it.
Yeah.
They eat raw grass.
Well, yeah, let me explain this a little bit further, and I'm going to hand you...
Where's this bread from?
So, I've got in my hand now some corn, and I'd like to have a look at this corn and tell me what's happened. How a thin sort of, why does it look like it looks now? And we'll see if...
I don't quite understand the question. But, sorry, listen, I've got bread in my mouth because...
Yeah, which is not necessarily super helpful on a podcast.
You put bread in front of my cow brain.
Yes, your bovine brain has kind of just... it can't help itself.
Why this corn is like this is the question.
Yes. Does that look normal to you?
Well, sort of. It's not a lot. It's mostly leaves. There it is, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
There you go.
Does that look normal?
I mean, not really. I wouldn't buy it from a shop like that. It'd be annoying.
Okay, how would you buy it? Would you buy it like that?
Either like that or without...
Do you think that's normal?
No, but thankfully, we live in a society where...
No or yes?
People and machines can take it off. Normal, yes.
No.
Natural, no, of course not. It's in a jar, but lots of things are in jars.
No, is that natural?
Well, I imagine that this is probably... If you went back 100,000 years, it's not exactly how it would have come out of the ground.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. This has got as much reference to reality as somebody with liposuction has got to reality. This is a complete bastardization of what it was. Do you know what it was? It was grass. And it was extremely difficult to actually mill it and produce it. And I'm going to explain it. It took thousands of years to turn it from a really sort of difficult, tough grass into that. And it's got probably 30 or 40% more calories as a result. So this does not survive in the wild. This cannot operate in the wild. And one of the reasons it took so long is that the civilization that grew it was that much later. So the Aztecs, because corn was very difficult to cultivate, the civilization was thousands of years later, maybe 5,000 later than wheat, which is fundamentally pretty much the same as it was in the days of the Fertile Crescent, 10,000 BC. So you can understand a lot about civilization by the grass that they grow. And what I want to further ask you is, how do you think you get protein from corn?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you do. I think you get protein from other stuff. I mean...
Well, this is a very interesting question because it is a grass and it grows very, poor people would eat a lot of corn because it was very easy to grow. But when it came across from the Americas, the Europeans didn't understand how to cultivate it. And they didn't know that you had to basically mix it with lime so that the protein was released And this caused some vampires, basically. This was the beginning.
Not what I thought you were going to say.
This was the beginning of the vampire record in Europe, because people that would process us incorrectly had a light sensitivity. They didn't like light. They had a very smelly breath, and they acted kind of insane. And it was all because they didn't have the Aztec knowledge of how to actually cultivate it with lime to release the proteins. And so basically
What about the blood sucking and sharp teeth bit?
Well, that came from the stories of all these people acting rather oddly led to there's a very strong correlation between the improper use of corn and the growth of vampire, and eventually we've got Dracula.
Well, I'm nervous of this now. You've brought in two types of corn. I'm slightly worried that I'm going to be vampirified by Bionova sweet corn.
Yeah, so I mean, what we're also discovering is there's a direct correlation between the cultivation of grass and the civilizations that represents, be it rice in China, Fertile Crescent, etc., and the Aztecs with the corn. And I guess the essential question is how, if you are processing 60 to 70% grass in your diet, is that going to be good for you?
Well,
because you're convinced you're not a cow, but what you're eating, and you are what you eat, is basically grass-fed. And my position is that the food industry looks at you as a passive cow, and they're feeding you highly processed sugars and grasses.
Well, there are two different things there. I mean, that's for sure. We spoke about sugar lots, but I think the ideas of ultra-processed food, right? So, for example, the fact that I can go and buy a loaf of bread from the supermarket and it won't go off for a month and a half, and it's got a sort of ingredient list that's sort of as longer than my arm. I mean, that is worrying, and that I can accept as being.
It's not just buying; it's consuming. I mean, there's hardly any of this bread left.
But that bread there. I mean, I know the bakery where you picked that bread up from. It's a good bakery. That is flour and water and a bit of salt and poppy seeds on the top. That is, and bread like that has fueled humans long before the idea of a food industry even existed. I mean that fueled people in sort of 2000, 3000 BC. I mean, the idea of people having flour and water and mixing it to make bread is the cornerstone of, as you mentioned, the cornerstone of all of humanity's great civilizations. It wasn't people going around eating fruit and nut that built these cities. It was people eating bread.
But my question is, are you designed for that consumption? So, or are you like a panda? And now we're just gonna spend a bit of time on a panda. Ed, is a panda a bear?
Just impossible to know what we're going to talk about on this podcast. Yes, a panda is a bear.
Okay, what does that panda eat?
Bamboo.
A bamboo, exactly. So why is a panda who's a bear eating 80 to 90, well, basically his entire diet is bamboo. Does that make any sense, or is that an evolutionary mistake?
I mean, pandas are all right, they get by.
Well, they don't really get by. If you watch them, they hardly move. They fall over.
Yeah.
They're very they tumble because they have no energy. They only get, they can only extract roughly 20% of the energy from that grass. So I'm worried, Ed, that you're essentially imitating the panda by eating grass when you're not designed to eat grass because you don't have 4 stomachs.
But first of all,
to my knowledge,
these are different types.
By the way you've eaten that bread, it would be not.
Different types of. There are different types of grass. Personally, I am the opposite. I'm gluten tolerant, but there's grass and there's grass. I think that's sort of like my point. There's grasses which are not great, sugarcane. There's grasses which will kill you, tobacco. There's grasses which are basically okay, wheat, corn.
Right.
I mean, what's dill? Is that a grass? That's not bad for you, is it?
Well, that's a herb.
Well, that's all grassy, though. I mean,
no, it's not
a
grass. So, Ed, this is the problem. You're not understanding. Basically, when you process grass, you're basically using enzymes amylase to turn it into starch. And starch is essentially glucose. So basically what you're really doing essentially is you're eating too much glucose. And I can tell that by the way you consume that Snickers bar.
It's not true.
So basically,
it's not true.
It says he eating more bread. Look at him, you can't stop him.
No, but this is good bread. This has not got sugar in. This is not the same.
That is pure sugar.
It's not.
Look, the body.
So you're saying a bowl of pasta is the same as a bowl of Cocoa Pop?
Absolutely.
Nonsense.
In calorie per gram.
That's
calorie per gram.
nonsense.
Look, Ed, do you think the body can tell the difference between glucose from sugarcane and glucose from bread? Is it different glucose or is it the same? What do you mean,
100%.
yeah? The body doesn't, it's glucose. It doesn't give a shit whether it's in grandma's cake or, in some sort of, bread.
It's complex carbohydrates versus simple carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates are good, they're important. Like all things, you can have lots, you can have too much. But actually, particularly if you're young and you're growing, you need to be having complex carbohydrates like pasta, like bread. If you're an athlete, have a look at what athletes are having, what food scientists are recommending athletes eat. It's not.
Are you an athlete?
Of course I'm an athlete.
Okay.
I play football on the weekends. I captain my side. I do all right.
Okay. Fine. So let's take the basis. You're
but a complex carbohydrate is really important. I mean, when 100% you can have too much, and 100% some people, perhaps even all of us a bit, are a little bit gluten intolerant. That's true. But you can get gluten-free pasta.
No, with the area
it's very different having a bowl of corn, having a bowl of Cocoa Pops, which I agree, right? Well, delicious, full of rubbish, bad for you, rot your teeth, rot your inside.
Yeah.
Body can't give your body enough energy, spikes your energy because it's too simple. That's not the same as having complex carbohydrates like proper bread, not supermarket, not Wonder Loaf, whatever it's called.
My issue is that you're genetically more similar to a cow than that Snickers bar is to a chocolate.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
is you've got a closer genetic ratio with that cow than that Snickers bar. And this is the point I'm trying to make, that sugar and the industry basically looks at you as a sort of passive Netflix watching, because you're eating popcorn, which is a sugar. You're sitting there watching your Netflix with your popcorn. That's what they want. They want a consumer of sugar. And what I'm trying to do is take you on a journey where we go into that wonderful wilderness and we discover these fruits and nuts that your body is designed to consume. And it's away from the kind of industrial sugary foods that essentially, and this is one of the great lies in the industry, that the lie is that sugar gives you energy. And what we're going to discover on this journey is that is just not true. Sugar destroys your natural mitochondria and it reduces your energy. And so when you come on this journey, and I hope that we have now established that you're not a grass-eating, bovine-brained...
I don't know. I feel more in the dark. I mean, I was on board with no sugar. I had another dentist appointment today, and I was reminded once again by the lovely Mrs. Ward that my misspent glucosey youth has probably not had the best effect on my molars. But she noticed a noticeable improvement in my teeth. She said, well done for cutting down on sugar. I'm impressed.
Yes. But now we're going to aim at pasta and bread and rice and sugar and all those grasses that you're not designed to consume. Well, we don't think you are.
Humans have eaten bread and pasta and rice for thousands of years. Some of your
because smallpox was generated through this civilization doesn't mean it's a good thing.
Humans didn't eat smallpox.
No, but smallpox came along with, once you cultivate plants in an agricultural, you create societies and cities that live very close together, and that's where disease
crazy
spread.
Argument. So you're in society here. You're calling for not just stop having bread, but actually stop living together. Get back in the forest.
No, cows live together. They have a herding instinct.
Sounds like COVID-19 again.
Yeah, no. Quite the opposite. No, chimps can have. We discovered that scrumping is a good thing.
I agree.
So no, it's not. We're going into a wilderness to discover, what I would call pre-agricultural flavors and tastes in chocolate. That's the journey. And it's going to be difficult because, leaving that bread behind, leaving the grasslands, leaving the savannah, and going back into the jungle is going to be challenging for you, Ed.
My body is the opposite of a temple. I'm always happy to use it for science or podcasts or anything really. And I'm therefore more than happy to experiment and for X amount of time only consume foods which are in some way unmanufactured. So that includes this beautiful loaf of bread. But I'm not going to say that's a sensible thing to do. Cutting out sugar, cutting out ultra-processed foods if you can.
Yes, okay.
I think for sure. But I do think that things like, also, this is Rumo pasta's really good.
Grass, sugar.
But it's not.
It is.
I don't think it's helpful for people to equate good quality bread and good quality pasta and things like sweet corn, which is healthy, with things that are rubbish. Ultra-processed white bread, Snickers bars, Coca-Cola. These are very, very, very different worlds. And I think if you scoop them all up together and say that's all grass, that's all sugar, all you can really have is nuts and fruit. I mean,
and chocolate.
If all I eat is nuts and fruit and dark chocolate, by about, I'll be as thin as a rake. Also, I'm not going to have the energy.
You can have coffee. You can have your morning coffee with no milk. Because you're not a baby cow.
Can I say, today I did get a flat white this afternoon, but another thing for my trip to Italy is in order to fit in and feel like a true Italian, also I don't know the word for flat white, I only drunk espresso, and I have been actually pretty good at only having...
Which is, you order a normale.
Yeah, or just a cafe, just take out a coffee.
It's espresso.
But they know, if you say espresso in Italy, they do know. They look at you like you're an idiot, but they do know. Unlike in France. Anyway, off topic, but yeah, that one I agree, and not because I think milk's bad, but because it feels more authentic to sort of taste the coffee and try that out and experience it sort of in its pure essence.
We talked about milk. Let's just talk about milk for a second. When did grown men drink white milk? At what point in civilization did a grown man drink?
I think the same point as grown women.
Or grown women.
It's a good question. I think a very, very long time ago.
No, very recently, 19th, 20th century. It came very, very late, and there was a very good reason, because obviously it goes off, so you can't transport it. Civilization has got a history of cheese, but not of milk until very, very late. And that was pushed by the corporate giants like Nestle, trying to turn you into a bovine-brained cow.
Yeah.
So, so any case, I think we've made the point. I think you've accepted the challenge. What we're going to do is draw a line here between the ultra-processed food and the pure sugar, represented by Snickers, and we're going to allow you certain grasses.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really good. Yeah, I think particularly...
We don't know the end of the journey, so we don't know.
But I don't want to be just having... Because also, when you talk about process, when you cook something, that's a process. When you boil a vegetable, that's a process. And it's not healthy to just be having raw fruit and nuts and
Sure,
coffee.
You can have popcorn. I mean, they think that popcorn was developed before they actually developed corn like this, because actually the seeds would have fallen into the fire and it would have popped and they could have consumed it. Before that, which is why the Aztec civilization took so long, basically there was no nutrition in the grass of corn. They just couldn't access it, only through roasting it in a fire with popcorn. So we're going to see if your popcorn eating Netflix days with loads of grass.
I don't know why Netflix is catching strays here.
Yeah, it's anything to do with the modern generation that can't stop themselves scrolling on phones.
That is true.
And we're going to take a step back in time, and we'll discover where the line should be drawn. We'll leave that.
I'm going to fight for bread, and I'm going to fight for pasta pretty hard, I think. I'm sure, obviously some people aren't very good at digesting certain grasses, for sure. But also really good quality bread and really good quality pasta. Homemade egg pasta, that is very good for you. That's a healthy food.
Egg pasta is different,
Proper
but it does...
Neapolitan pizza, which, again, hopefully I'll be able to get this photo. It's, honestly, this pizza I had was extraordinary.
It does sound to me like a bull going, I'm only going to eat a certain type of grass.
sorry.
And it has to be very high quality,
Andrew, what did you have for
posh
dinner?
grass.
On Wednesday night, what did you have for dinner? Just remind me. What was it? I'm pretty sure because I was there. I think it was actually pasta and sausage meat. I may be wrong, I'm not. But this is what I mean.
I could be a hypocrite, it's possible.
It was good quality pasta. It was good quality meat. It was not filled with rubbish. It was flavoured really well. And it, I'm sure, filled you up. It didn't leave you feeling stuffed and horrible because it was not full of ultra-processed garbage. It wasn't sort of full of, I don't know, potassium sulfate and things like that, which aren't natural and aren't your body isn't used to. It was full of ingredients that that generations, 10, 20 generations back, they would have been eating too. Wheat, salt, water, meat.
Yes, of course. I mean, there is an issue, and why 40 to 50% of Americans are obese is that we've gone too far down the grass
Couldn't
route.
agree more. Well,
and this is something we're going to discover as we go through our journey. But you know, it's yes, you can talk about grass or sugar in civilizations before industrial, but the quantities. The quantities were very, very different, and now we're
bread. I mean, bread is such a central thing. I mean, you look at sort of really old like texts. I mean, the Bible, the Old Testament, for example, it's sort of written sort of over 2,000 years ago.
Yes,
some of it much more than that.
But it wouldn't be that kind of quantity. It's going to be a small.
Something. I mean, I know there was that one bit where there was only a little bit and there was a bit of fish, but I mean, they were not eating macadamia nuts and acai berries.
Okay, let me put it this way, in another way, to help you here. With corn and a metate, a woman was going to spend 7 to 8 hours a day grinding that corn to make it edible for her family. So corn
that sounds rubbish.
Tied her to a metate, which is a very hard physical exercise, for 7 to 8 hours a day just to feed her family. So, you know, there's no question that corn was an essential part of that civilization. It's just the processing of it took so long and required so much energy from, in particular, the women.
They were so strong.
They were incredibly strong. But, that gives you an idea of the kind of quantities that would have been consumed at that time, because you couldn't process that amount.
Oh, so you
literally could not produce enough to have the kind of abundance that we currently have. And I think really what I'm saying is it's a combination of grass and the industrial abundance that is causing the problem.
Yeah, I agree. But I do think there is grass and there's grass. I mean, like, there is a difference between, a massive, massive, massive difference, right, between having sweet corn and having, I don't know, very, very simple bread, wheat flour and water, let's say, because you can't really eat wheat on its own, it's not very nice, and having a bowl of, I mean, not even any processed sugar, just a bowl of sugar. I mean, that is a bowl of sugar is, if you had a bowl of sweet corn, that is actively good for you. A bowl of, a plate of bread, you can have too much bread, for sure you can, but actually bread is also pretty helpful for you. It's good fuel, particularly if you're growing, particularly if you're doing a lot of exercise. Bowl of sugar, disaster for everyone, with no exceptions, right? And I think it's important that we don't just brush everything together and say, these are all bad things, and back in the day we were monkeys, and monkeys had nuts, and monkeys had fruit, and so that's what we're gonna have. I think it's important that we actually say there is sort of scales, and I'm interested to find out where on the scale we think we should land. And that's the journey. So am I now ready? Do you think I'm now ready to take the leap? Because I was keen to take it this week. Unfortunately, because you didn't let me, I've organised a massive Chinese takeaway on Saturday night. So it's going to have to be from Sunday onwards. I go on this mission. Because that takeaway, while delicious, is not going to follow any of the rules.
I think it's time we go.
Okay, so lay them out for me. What are the tenets? What is on your 2 stones down from the gods of how it should be according to Andrew Nason? What rules have I, and I think you as well, should have to follow on this chocolate journey?
What we're going to do is we're going to find, the magical chocolate. And we're going to find some of the most beautiful chocolate in the world. And, that's hard. It's a very difficult quest. You're going to find lots of blind alleys and industrial giants pouring sugar to tempt you away from the path. But that chocolate that we find will be a spiritual thing, and it will elevate you and stimulate you in a way that I'm afraid none of the grasses that we've talked about will do.
But I want to know what. Well, I don't know. But there are definitely some grasses which I think can stimulate you quite heavily, maybe even too much. But I think
I don't know what you're possibly talking about.
Me neither. But what are, you've sort of mentioned ultra-processed foods and sugars. What are the things in order to be ready and to live, like you said, like the monkeys thousands of years ago? What are the sort of the rules I need to follow? What things can I not have? What things should I be having in order to set me up to really get on this journey to start enjoying quite complex chocolate?
We are going to go and wind back the clock on industrial food, and we're going to look at food groups, basically as a wild monkey might have looked at them. And we're going to look at the split that they would have consumed, which is the fruit and the nuts and the protein. And it will be fresh. It will be wild. It won't be these, hybridization. The degree of change that some of these plants have gone through are quite staggering. And I think the closer we get to that, hopefully we get to a healthier and more fulfilling and more spiritually fulfilling food group. And that's really the purpose, both from a health standpoint and from a spiritual standpoint, and really in a way from a preparation standpoint, because I think producing these foods, taking the time to produce them, is part of that meditative process. And I was going to say ruminative process, but I held myself back and I said meditative.
I think it's okay. Well, I'm very excited. I think we've covered some interesting ground today, if not always seen eye to eye.
Ed, there's nothing wrong with being a panda. You've gone down an evolutionary cul-de-sac. You were not meant to eat grass, but you ended up eating grass, and that has led to some very strange behaviours.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think we can correct that arc, and we can turn you into a grizzly bear.
Without wanting to go over it again, I do think it's important that we stress that it is okay to have things like bread. It is fine. People shouldn't take this podcast as sort of dietary advice necessarily. This is more an experiment in sort of looking at the way sort of people sort of before almost civilization ate, and whether or not there are lessons to be learned from them. I think I'm very happy.
Correct.
Very happy to go on these experiments. And hopefully I'll be getting some doing some behind the scenes cooking content that doesn't involve me ringing up the local Chinese takeaway and ordering kung po chicken and special chow mein, which is what I have done for Saturday. But yeah, looking forward to it as always, and see all of you lovely listeners next week, and when we begin this very, very exciting journey.
Yeah, it should
and I
be
want to
good.
know that Andrew also is going to be doing this as well. It isn't just me on my own. It's going to be, the both of us are going to be having just...
I've called you a cow, a panda,
yeah,
and you're saying that we're both guinea pigs.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Okay,
yes, exactly.
fine.
Thank you very much for joining us. See you next week. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
And see you next time.
Okay.